Sometimes I forget. Sometimes I forget to check NOTAMs ahead of time and right before my flight. So this is a good reminder to check NOTAMs. Navigation and tools.
Right.
Is this helpful to you yet, Dan?
I'd actually list no, not yet. So let's see.
Okay.
And right, sometimes it's how we ask and stuff. Yeah, how about instead? Yeah, even let's get more specific. Um, are there noise sensitive areas around KSU? Um, around Sturgeon Bay. All right, so now I'm departing there. Um, yeah, I didn't find anything looking up anywhere else. Um,
Yes, there
So,
are
okay,
noise
so
sensitive
maybe this
areas.
can point me in, a couple good places. All right, noise. So again, Jennifer, for me, yep, we had to ask you a pretty specific question. All right, what are we planning? Like, right, depending on the algorithm, it'll come out with different things. Um, but I suppose if I'm looking, for the wrapper of, local information, let's ask those specific questions.
How about
So
where are the noise sensitive areas?
yeah, let's see. Near K2. Yeah, let's try that.
There are no officially published designated noise sensitive areas, but it does talk about some of the areas around that airport that we might want to be aware of as noise sensitive. Residential areas, those are
Okay.
generally noise sensitive. Nature preserves,
Yeah.
here's a state park,
Yeah.
probably good to
Right.
be noise
Yeah. Right
sensitive
close
there.
to the airport. So yeah, good to know. Like, right. Yep. We're not gonna, maybe add on a real low level, picture taking, adventure right there, not over the state park anyhow. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Well, I like these best practices. Climb quickly and maintain altitude. Departing westward helps avoid the city and waterfront. That's very useful.
Well, and perfect because that's the way I wanted to head anyway. Okay.
This is very convenient.
All right. Use
Um,
published departed procedures if monitor CTAF. Yeah. See, so to me, Jennifer, okay, so that one was good. It said, hey, remember, Dan, there's a state park nearby. Okay, right. Could I have gleaned that from the charts? Well, I should have. But here it's a co-pilot, like flying a bigger airplane along with a co-pilot. Sometimes, crew love very great ideas. Yeah, and other times, yep, just reminding you stuff you might know already. I liked so the state park is key, and then just yeah, the good general information of all right, yep, hey, remember everybody's not a fan of airplane noise. Of course, avoid the overflight low of a downtown or residential area if you can. And yeah, climb quickly and maintain altitude. Right, altitude. And I love that as a noise, you know, fly neighborly practice because all these things also align with, just safe flying in general. Yes, we want to get altitude as quick as we can and everything. So,
yeah,
okay.
and it's a sort of a precursor to, hey, now let's check out and see, do these things apply for our destination as well? Because now
Right.
we
And
know what
now,
we're
yep.
doing leaving this area. We're flying to another area. Let's check that out. Let's see what we need to know about flying into Flying Cloud Airport. So I can ask the same question.
Yeah.
What are the noise sensitive areas near KFCM?
KFCM. Is right. Almost on purpose today. We picked Sturgeon Bay, first of all, because I was there last weekend and I think it was fun. But also as a representative of a pretty quiet airport. And now, yep, we're going to talk about, our busy flying cloud airport with, yep, communities, not like Sturgeon Bay, a little bit away, yeah, ringing the airport, in essence. So, okay, so what do we get from here? Noise sensitive zones near FTM. All right,
Yep.
kind of the same thing. Residential neighbors, school and park, ooh, hospitals. I don't know about that. Um, okay, but oh,
Noise
and
writing
then at the very
procedures.
top, Jennifer, what did it say? The very first sentence: flying cloud,
Surrounded
surrounded by several noise
noise
sensitive
sensitive
areas.
areas. Pilots are encouraged to follow specific noise abatement procedures to minimize impact on the community. Here's what you need to know.
Okay. To me, this is the only bottom line that I want to get out of today is that, you know, there are tools now, so you don't have to say, I didn't know where to find the information. I mean, if you just ask, Microsoft Copilot, here it is letting us know that yes, the information exists. Um, and referencing some information that, yeah, we can then kind of vet out. Like, all right, we'll click on that Fly Neighborly guide and see, yeah, is it legit? Because right, sometimes you're going to get wrong answers from AI. So how do you protect yourself against it is, yeah, knowing the reference. Then
Mhm.
hopefully we can just use this tool to find the information. All right, so what does it tell us about Flying Cloud?
Well, it says that there are noise abatement procedures according to the Fly Neighborly Guide and the Noise Abatement Plan. Preferred runways, 10 right. Now, of course, this information is probably going to be detailed on the Fly Neighborly Guide, but it also just pulls it out for you in this tool. Verify, though. You said that earlier, and it's so important. I have found you do need to verify the results that are shown here. So even though AI, this tool, is telling us that there is a Fly Neighborly Guide and it tried to pull information from the Fly Neighborly Guide and put it out here for your easy reference, because that is a benefit. It does make it efficient to pull out information, but then you really do have to verify, is it actually pulling out accurate information? Quiet
We were
hours.
we were practicing. And I was just going to top rope Jennifer and say,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it listed the tower frequency for FCM, and I'm like, I think it was one of the tower frequencies, but like it wasn't 119.15 that I always use. So right, that's how I'm a big skeptic, but I'm like, but I do see the big benefit here is if I like didn't know where or didn't know if Flying Cloud Airport had noise abatement procedures. Yeah, with a quick look here, yeah, we're getting good information.
Yeah, so um, just pulling out these categories, you
Mhm.
can see there are preferred runways. You can see that there's, the traffic pattern altitudes, 1,000 feet. You're going to verify this information, but the fact is, it's saying what the categories are that are part of that Fly Neighborly program. So they're also even giving you a little bit of guidance here for um,
Yeah.
minimize your traffic pattern work. We saw, it says here, especially for turbine powered aircraft, but what we see in that image, with the busy airspace was a lot of the repetitiveness. And at Flying Cloud, it's not as much about the noise sometimes as the repetitiveness of the maneuvers, takeoffs and landings that take place, specifically at Flying Cloud. But I would even say that things that are, considerate, um, that you can considerately apply at Flying Cloud, you could considerately apply at any airport that you operate at. We're, of course, focusing on Flying Cloud today, but hopefully the things that we're sharing with you today can really apply to any airport that you operate at. Um, let's see. Dan, you mentioned something about using ForeFlight.
Yeah. Yeah. What we do a tie in there, Jennifer, and ask AI a question. How about just, is there a way to use this information in for flight? Uh, and again, maybe that's too broad, but maybe because, right, it's building on what we're asking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
building on exact
Yeah.
it's meant to sort of be a conversational style. So if
Mhm.
you are having a conversation with somebody, you're basically having a conversation with this tool, and you can pull from and build upon things that have already been mentioned in the discussion that you had with the person. So in our discussion, we're just going to say, is there a way to use this information in ForeFlight? Kind of like asking your buddy, hey, can we use this information?
So I can
And your
answer this
buddy's going
back.
to know what
Absolutely.
information you're talking about.
All
There
right.
you go. It answered you back. ForeFlight is a powerful tool for integrating noise abatement and airspace awareness into flight planning.
Well, right. And that's what we're really talking about is just an awareness of airspace and whether that's, at the really important level like a TFR, like, oh yeah, we're not going to fly into one to, yeah, just busy different classifications of airspace to, yeah, noise abatement, even if it's voluntary or certainly non-regulatory, to have an awareness of it and know that a lot of the tips will probably be just good flying tips along with it. But all right, so let's see how we can use ForeFlight here. What's it telling us, Jennifer?
Well, it's telling us that we can mark noise sensitive areas on the
Right.
map when we see where the residential areas are. We can flag those things. There are ways in ForeFlight that you can mark on your maps. You can put user waypoints.
Hmm.
Um, we're not going to really go through how to use
Yeah,
ForeFlight
yeah,
in
yeah,
this
yeah.
particular demonstration, but for pilots who are using ForeFlight or any of those EFBs or like Garmin Pilot or any of the other
Hmm.
tools that are available for navigation or flight planning, um, making marks on your map can be really helpful. Adding notes, a lot of those tools will have a notepad that you can make notes on.
Hmm.
Again, as you're flying, then you've got access to that very quickly. I personally wouldn't suggest trying to use AI during a flight, but if you needed something quick, you making notes ahead of time and proper and diligent flight planning can really make the flight itself less stressful, right? So try to make the notes ahead of time, use your tools ahead of time, and then really be prepared um, for how you are going to remember everything you've learned throughout your planning process. This just seems very general to me, Dan. I don't really see any specific information about flying cloud in here. Do you want me to ask?
Let's see. Hmm.
Here's a question from AI. Would you like help creating a custom route or overlay for your flight
Yeah,
from
neat. Maybe it'll
KFC?
talk you through just the steps on how to use ForeFlight or something. But right, let's ask Jennifer, maybe you know how to, maybe what wording might work. Yeah, what I almost want to see is something about ForeFlight, flying cloud, and noise abatement. I don't know all together. So maybe that's what we can ask it almost. Is there mm, abatement information about flying cloud on ForeFlight? Yeah. Okay. And again, yeah, I think using the airport identifier code kind of separates it out from maybe other things that would be like named Sturgeon Bay or Flying Cloud and stuff like that. All right, let's see. All right, we've got information about noise abatement, how to use it in ForeFlight. Okay, I'm gonna upload a PDF, sure. Okay. Yeah, so really, I think we did best, Jennifer, when we said, hey, tell us about the noise sensitive areas around. And for us, yeah, we're talking about flying cloud, but around any airport, it really came up with then, your organization, the Metropolitan Airport Commission's Flying Neighborly Guide as a link and such like that. But right, to me, we're falling slightly short because I also know out in the internet there is, even custom content for ForeFlight um, really just an awareness about flying cloud airports, noise sensitiveness. And right, yep, we're still missing it here. But all I say is like, yeah, AI is pretty new and right. You're going to get wrong answers. You're not going to get good answers. But, I would just challenge people to say, well, it's new technology. It might get better really soon.
I just asked a new
Um,
question, and I specifically said fly neighborly information for flying cloud.
okay, because
And
maybe after looking at other stuff, that's almost like the branded keyword. Okay. Yeah.
yes, for the MAX airports, all of the airports owned by the MAC do have a Fly Neighborly guide and custom content created for use in ForeFlight. I happen to know that because I work for the Mac.
Sure.
But but if you and I'll show you how to get that. So everybody watching today will have access. They'll be able to find that information quickly. But the custom content itself is really, it's only applicable to people who use ForeFlight. We
Hmm.
want our content, our Fly Neighborly information to be available for even pilots who don't use ForeFlight. And that is why we've created the Fly Neighborly Guide. The guides are just a one-page PDF. You can pull it up in ForeFlight, but you can pull it up from our website directly. Let's see what happens if I click on here. This is what I got. It
Does it
pulled it
bring
up
it
in a
over?
different
Yeah,
map.
different window. Oh, there you go. Yeah, different window.
So this is what it
Hmm.
pulled up when I used that link. So remember the link was this link. And it is true, we did update our Fly Neighborly Guide in 2024. So it got that part correct. But here's what's inside, right? So even if you didn't want the PDF, you could still get a little guidance and be pointed in the right direction for the things that are included in that plan. But I would always recommend to verify the information. It gives you a resource down here. Do you see that? Here's a link right in the results of this. So if you didn't click this, you could see here that this is the reference that is being used for this information that's being displayed. And that's important because for any of the AI tools, you can always ask for the reference. So just because information is on the screen, you can always say, where did you get this information? And it should tell you where's the reference. And I would just highly recommend that pilots do that if you're going to be relying on any information in your AI tools to really do, ask for the reference and verify the reference of the information before relying on that in flight planning.
Well, Jennifer, I think this is a great way to end this little segment. Look at this. It talks about the Fly Neighborly Guide. Okay, we just looked at that. It talked about, FAA safety team and yeah, use them as a reference. And Troy, thank you for hosting this.
Yeah.
And then it says, pilot forums and for-flight user discussions. Well, this is a pilot forum, but right, there's a lot of other ones out there, to crowdsource some information. And again, we're not saying this trumps any actually regulations, FAA or how we fly or what we were trained in, and throughout our pilot training. But to me, this is like an awareness of, I'm going to go someplace new. I didn't know about that information. Um, so yeah, I think this is neat. So we explored a flight. We talked a little bit about ForeFlight, and then we loaded up the fishing poles. And actually, it doesn't show it very well, but man, some of those were long fishing poles. You see one sticking out next to Cody in the back there. But the weather was good. Both of them even stayed awake, so that's kind of fun. And we had a smooth flight back to Flying Cloud. Because Jennifer, in my mind, what is a more enjoyable flight? And think back to flights you've had, like, yeah, good, and ones you think you could have flown better. Yeah, are the ones that go better are the ones that you plan a little bit more for. And especially ones, it's only a state away, Wisconsin, but to me, that's going to be a fun adventure for me. I enjoy kind of, preparing for it. And finding out new information and hopefully here, with FAA safety and noise abatement, that's our tip is look for the information. But I don't know, it's preaching to the choir. People showing up to these seminars are already pretty safety aware and such. But know that it's right along with flight safety and also fun flying, because now, like, yep, we had smooth operations, knew what to expect, and flew back home. So
Okay, so we're going to take away some messages here. The key messages, I think we've concluded. AI does make it very easy to access information. But
That's the good.
hallucinations or false results, um, you know, be aware of those. Be cautious. Don't just take face value what AI is sharing with you. Um, check the references for sure. And I can assure you that for our airports at the Metropolitan Airports Commission, we will always publish the most up-to-date information on our website for all of our airports. Again, we own 7. We don't own all airports, but if you are flying into a MAC airport, this is where you'll find information about our airports, metroairports.org, and then /our airports. The Fly Neighborly information is a subset of the information that you'll find on that Our Airports webpage. But if you want to go direct to the Fly Neighborly information for Flying Cloud, which is displayed here, this QR code will take you to the Fly Neighborly webpage where you can get all of the Fly Neighborly guides. You can get the custom content that we have prepared for ForeFlight users. So it is specific to ForeFlight users. I'm sorry, we don't have it for all users, but we're working on that. So you can use this QR code to get to the Fly Neighborly page specifically, or you can also use this URL at the bottom of the page highlighted in yellow just to get to the Fly Neighborly webpage. So with that, we are ready for questions. So,
And I like this picture, Jennifer, because yeah, me and you have flown in the local areas. We've done some night flying and such, and yeah, I just appreciate your time, Jennifer, working with the community, and right, working all together to keep flying fun, and yeah, and I look forward to thinking up a new adventure instead of fishing something else. But thank you, Laura and Troy, for hosting. We'll turn it over to you.
All right. Going back to